I grew up knowing Leviticus 11, it tells you what you can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah? So you're not allowed to eat pork, you know, nothing that walks up on its hoof and whatever that you can't scale, fishes that you can't scale. But he went back and wrote, alright, you can bless it and eat it.
Are we allowed to eat anything based upon Acts chapter 10? I want to start here first. Acts 8.
I grew up knowing Leviticus 11, it tells you what you can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah? So you're not allowed to eat pork, you know, nothing that walks up on its hoof and whatever that you can't scale, fishes that you can't scale. But he went back and wrote, alright, you can bless it and eat it.
Which scripture are you talking about?
What's your opinion?
Do you know what she's talking about?
So Leviticus 11 tells you what you can do and can't do. On the 7th day Advent,
So let me ask you this question, sis. So I know your questions. Let me ask you. Do you believe you can eat anything on this earth today? Why? Why do you say that?
When the New Testament, when Peter had a dream about the Lord told the Israelites, the Lord presented and then he told the Lord told him to eat it, right? And then he said, Lord, what is this?
I've never eaten anything unclean or common. Right.
Right.
So now, you're following the precept you was talking about is what she's talking about, right? So you're saying in Leviticus 11, God said, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat that. We're allowed to eat this. Now we're saying in the book of Acts chapter 10, where now God is saying you can eat whatever. Now let's see if there's, because now if that's the case, that means we're saying there's contradictions in the Bible. That's what we're saying. We're saying God said that's good. That's good. Get me Acts 8. No, we're gonna deal with it. Let me follow. Let me Acts 8 verse 31 first. Right.
When his daughters drugged him to sleep with him to get pregnant, right? Yeah. But us as believers, we believe in mortality. Like a lot of people would see it as wow, all of those things. You know what I mean? But we know and understand. But a lot of people won't.
Right. Now let's do it.
Educate.
Let me educate now. Are we allowed to eat anything based upon Acts chapter 10? I want to start here first. Acts 8 verse 31.
The book of Acts chapter 8 and verse 31. And he said, how can I, except some man should guide me?
Read verse 20, verse 30. Was it 30? Read 30.
Acts chapter 8 and verse 30. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah.
Well, as you ask questions, sisters, you gotta give me space to answer it. If you're talking through the question, you're gonna miss points. Read.
And said, understand thou what thou readest?
So Philip asks this Ethiopian eunuch, do you understand what you're reading? Because he was reading the prophet Isaiah. Now he said, do you understand what you're reading? This is what he responded.
And he said, how can I, except some man should guide me?
So sometimes when you're reading, things are not as plain as it seems to be. Someone needs to guide you through to gain understanding. So let me guide you through the Acts 10 verse to give some understanding whether God is now allowing us to eat anything based upon it. Acts 10 and read verse 9.
The book of Acts chapter 10 and verse 9. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance.
So watch this now. So guess what? He went up to pray in the housetop, and he said as he was hungry, he fell into a trance. Now we need to understand how God deals with the prophets. Hold that and get me Hosea 12 and 10. We need to understand how God deals with the prophets. Remember the point. He was hungry, and as he was hungry, he fell into a trance. Do you know what a trance is? It's like daydreaming. You know, you're staring into space and you're seeing stuff. That's what Peter fell into. He fell into a trance. Get me Hosea 12 and 10. Now I'm gonna give he fell into a trance. While he was on the rooftop, I remember the point is he was hungry. Yeah, and then he fell into the trance. So now the trance the vision that he saw was based upon him being hungered. Right? Now watch this.
The book of Hosea, chapter 12 and verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions.
So this is what Peter went through. He was given a vision
and used similitudes.
And he used similitudes. You know what a similitude is, sir? Do you know what a similitude is? No? Do you know what a similitude is? Do you know what a similitude is? Meaning a comparison. Meaning he will describe something, but it means something else. A similitude. Something that's similar to something. Right? So what we're about to read is an illustrated story. Read the next part of the verse, Hosea.
And similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Is there iniquity in Gilead? Okay. Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets.
So what we're reading in Acts chapter 10, in terms of the vision, is a similitude. So yeah, so meaning he's talking about something and he's describing something, but it's meaning something else. Right? So now Acts 10, and jump to the point of the food. 13. No, start verse 11.
The book of Acts, chapter 10 and verse 11. And saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth.
So everything he's seeing here is a similitude. It means he's showing one thing, but it means something else. So I'm going to show you. Right. So that's why, except some man shall guide you, you're not going to understand it. So I'll give you a level of this thing. So it said a great sheet knit at the four corners.
That's why you've got a lot of our believers right now having mental breakdown because they're reading and looking for things that they're not going to find, but because they're not asking God to give them that knowledge and understanding to understand what they're reading, it's affecting a lot of us.
Right.
Yeah.
So sis, let me paint the picture now. Let me give you the understanding of the vision to know whether he's talking about Peter can eat now unclean foods or not. So he said he showed a vessel, a great sheet knit at the four corners. Yeah. So let's find out what this vessel represents. Hold Acts 10, go to Hosea 8 and 8. Let's find out what this vessel represents. Okay, because it says a great sheet knit at the four corners. What does this vessel represent?
The book of Hosea chapter 8 and verse 8. The watchman of Ephraim was with...
Hosea 8 and 8?
Sorry. The book of Hosea chapter 8 and verse 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
So the vessel that he saw as a great sheet knit at the four corners represents the nation of Israel being among the Gentiles now. Do you understand? So the nation of Israel, this is the Israelites. The people of Ghana, people of Nigeria, Congo, the Jamaicans, we are the Israelites. Now they became among the Gentiles during slavery. Now it says a great West Indian blacks. The West Indian blacks. Right there, sir. You understand? So now, it said there a great sheet knit at the four corners. Get me that in Deuteronomy 28. Go back to Acts. Hold the Acts. Get me Deuteronomy 28:64. So he said, remember, the vessel represents Israel. Now it says as a great sheet knit at the four corners. What does that mean? It means what? The Israelites were going to be what? Scattered to the four corners because of slavery. Deuteronomy 28. Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 28:64.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So that's what it represents. Now we got that part. Now we're going to get to the accent. We're going to get to that because it's all one. It's all one. So remember, the vessel represents Israel. It being there at four corners represents Israel being scattered all around the nations. Now let's read on. Next verse. Verse 12. Acts 10 verse 12.
The book of Acts chapter 10 and verse 12. Where all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth.
We read that the vessel that was knit with the four corners represents Israel scattered. But now when he looks at this vessel, he sees all manner of four-footed beasts. So you got four-footed beasts like dogs, lions, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat.
So he saw all manner of beasts in here. He had unclean beasts in here, and God said, Rise, Peter, kill, eat. Remember what this. Remember this is a vision, a similitude. It's saying one thing, but it means another. So now let's find out what these unclean beasts, which God says, Rise, Peter, kill, eat, represents. Now stay in the book of Acts, and then jump down to when verse 15. Yeah, read verse 15. 14 verse.
Acts chapter 10 and verse 14. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
So Peter said, No, not so, Lord, I've never eaten anything that's unclean. You know what I'm saying? So now he was confused with, right? Because that's what the law says. The law says we're not supposed to eat like you mentioned Leviticus 11. So now he's confused. What do you mean, kill and eat? Right. So now let's find out. As the vision plays out, it gives some understanding. Do you understand?
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app.
We're going to find out what these beasts represent. Yeah?
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men.
So we're talking about man.
That God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
What is he comparing to them to be?
They themselves are beasts.
So we've got to stay with the context. The vessel represents Israel, scattered upon the four corners of the earth. Within the vessel we see unclean beasts. God is already letting us know that he compared man to what? Beasts. So the beast that he saw within the vessel was not talking about it was talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah. That's what they take it, but that's not what it's saying. As we read down, it's going to keep the sense. Read on, Acts 10.
The book of Acts chapter 10 and verse 15. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What God hath cleansed, that call not thou common.
As we read down, we're going to find out what did God cleanse that he's talking about. Is he talking about the swine? Is he talking about the dog, the cat, the rat? He's not talking about that though. He's not talking about that. Remember, we talking about the beast was what? Man. The vessel was what? Israel, scattered among the four corners of the earth. Stay with the context.
Verse 16. This was done thrice.
Now, I wanted to get this part. We could have gone straight to it, but I wanted to get the part that it was done 3 times. What happened after it was done 3 times? 3 men came to see him.
Right.
Do you understand? And what did God say? Get thee down to them. Read on.
This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Verse 17.
Verse 17. Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee.
So why was it done thrice? Because 3 men were going to seek him. 3 men, okay?
Arise, therefore, and get thee down.
So when God said, rise, Peter, kill, eat, it meant what? Arise, Peter, get thee down, meaning go deal with those 3 men that are seeking you. So the rise, Peter, kill, eat represents arise, go and deal with those 3 men that seek you. That's why it was done unto you 3 times. Read.
And go with them, doubting nothing.
Now let's jump to verse 28 to get the point. What did God cleanse that he should not call common?
Verse 28. And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, but God hath showed me that I should not call any man.
Any what?
Any man.
You see what we're talking about, man, right? We're not talking about the swine. We're not talking about the dog, cow, rat, lobster, crab. Any man.
Common or unclean.
So earlier in the chapter when it says what God has cleansed, call not thou common, was he referring to cat, dog, pig, lobster, or was he talking about man? You're on. Was he talking about food, or was he talking about man?
He wasn't mentioning food there.
So what was he talking about?
Things on that.
Was he talking about man, or was he talking about food? I want you to say it because it's man. So sis, I want you to understand as well. What's he talking about?
He's talking about men.
I am.
So, okay, so I'm going to read 2 verses. Read the verse 12 and 14 and then 28.
The book of Acts chapter 10 and verse 12. Where all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth and wild beasts and creeping things and fowls of the air.
I need, hold on sis, because you get it, but my sister don't get it. I want her to get it.
And fowls of the air, verse 14.
So we have all these type of beasts in this vessel, right? Do you understand? Read verse 15.
Verse 15. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, what God hath cleansed, that call not thou common.
So remember, we're still referring to this vessel that has all manner of beasts in it. God said what he has cleansed call not now common, right? Remember we talked about a similitude, meaning it's going to compare one thing to another thing, right? So in the vessel, currently, on a plain level, we're reading about beasts. Hold on, you get it sis, I need her to get it. Right now in the vessel, we have all manner of beasts. Let's name some beasts. Dog, right? Cat, pig. All of this is in the vessel. And God said what God has cleansed, call not thou common. Referring to the vessel, right? Now Peter's going to break down what he was referring to, whether he was referring to literal food or whether he was referring to man, as we read above, in terms of Israel being that vessel scattered. So this is the 2 comparisons. This is the two options. Was God referring to literal food, meaning dog, eating a dog, eating a pig, eating a cow, or eating crab? Was he talking about literal animals to eat, or was he talking about man? That's the 2 options. Right? What's the 2 options? So you're following? Pardon? Man or? Pardon? No, the 2 options are man or actual animals. Right? So now Peter's going to break it down. Whether God is talking about actual animals or man. Verse 28.
Verse 28. And he said unto them, ye know that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one another of another nation, but God hath showed me, read, that I should not call any man common or unclean.
So what was God referring to when he said, what God has cleansed, call not thou common? What was he referring to? Because remember, we don't have to go anywhere. He broke it down. Remember, first he said he doubted himself. Hold on, sis. He doubted himself. What does that vision mean? Then 3 men come to see him. And then God said, arise and deal with these men. And then what? Later on, he understood that what he was referring to in the vision in terms of what God has cleansed, call not thou common, was referring to man. Those 3 men that came to seek him. Cornelius, who was an Israelite of the northern kingdom.
Said, so you got the animals, that's the beasts, and men are put into that category as well. So the men are, don't call the men unclean. Men
yes,
are clean.
the men.
So the animals.
Right. So the animals,
you're allowed to eat.
They're still unclean because he never changed that. He never cleansed the animal. He never cleansed the pork. He never cleansed the dog. No, because he's never cleansed it. It's unclean, according to the Bible.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models.